Good morning. I have a new hand today. 8-5 of diamonds. On this board, I raise from the button and the big blind call. So I have button raising range. Sometimes I would open it up because I think they are folding too much. So this is a case where I would do that. Uh, I would do that. And how wide are we looking at? We're looking at a lot of our suited hands. So I think all of our queens, suited queens. I think all of our um, basically any suited hand. I think I am raising this, and then I'm really getting into the offsuit hands, where I can make a straight. Um, also the kings. So this is my raising range. His raising range, I think, is pretty tight. So he's playing 15-11. Right now, his pre-flop calls big blind 1 out of 13 times. He's not normally calling. He's folding. His fold to steals 80%. His 3-bet steals 1 out of 3. I think that 3-bet's going to be pretty tight. So ace queen suited is my guess. Pocket threes could be raising it, and if he does, and we see it, hey, that's we make a note. But I haven't seen this. So he calls. I flop 2 pair, and I think that's a pretty good flop because when we think about all the hands that he could have, he's got pocket pairs, he's got suited aces, he's got these big cards. I think if I bet here, if he checks me and I bet, I think I'm going to have him call with quite a big range. If he's tight, I think he could call with some of these overcards. I think definitely suited aces. I think you could have an ace 8, ace 7, ace 5 is all going to call. Of course, we block trip 8s and trip 5s. Could have trip 7s, but I think a 6. Sixes are going to call. I think 9, 10 jacks calling. I see hands that are going to call, and I want them to call. I don't want to check and then see, let's say, a 4 or a 10 come on the turn, and then he leads into me, and I'm forced to call, and then he bets again on the river. And it's like, well, did he actually have a hand, or is he just taking advantage of my passivity post flop? So I do think this is a board where I'm going to be betting. And I bet half pot, and he calls. Turn was a 10, just one of those hands where it's like not the greatest, but again, if he has 9-10, hey, he just hit top pair, open ender. He's gonna call again. So if he checks me, I'm thinking we're gonna still bet. We're betting for value here. I think spades are gonna call. I think 7-6 is gonna still call if he has 7-6. Sixes are calling, 9s are calling. Yeah, 10s now catch to beat us. I think some of those over pairs are probably going to raise us at some point. And he does have some. He doesn't. I excluded queens plus. I think he's going to 3-bet with those. I think ace king's 3-betting, ace queen suited's 3-betting. We at least know he does. He has 3-bet with ace queen suited. So I'm going to assume he would do that. So I bet half pot. Maybe I need to go a little bit larger, but he calls, and then the 6 of spades comes out. And at this point, this is probably one of the worst cards. I think 6 of spades is worse than a 9 of spades. At least with a 9 of spades, he would probably have 2 pair, and I think I'm going to probably be forced to call. Yeah, he could show me trips or pocket 6s for the straight, just like he could show me pocket 9s, but I think that flush also gets there, and I do think he's calling with a lot of flushes. So he bets, and I actually fold. I have 2 pair. I don't think I could beat him too many times. Players bet out like this, and I'm looking at a pretty big hand. They're betting because they don't want to see a check down. So the question is, how did I play? Was my bet on the flop okay? Was my bet on the turn okay? And I'm sure GTO is probably going to say, I need to call here with 2 pair, but we're going to adjust it because I think I'm going to say he's only going to be betting with the straight or the flush. And if he's only betting with those, then GTO is going to say, yeah, I need to fold. So let's take a look at GTO. So got my ranges in. I ran it. I did say that villain was not going to donk on the flop. We don't have any evidence that he will, and I think a tight player like this probably isn't going to donk on the flop. But I'm gonna allow him to donk on the turn in the river, and we can check it out, and we can also change it so that he doesn't donk on the turn and would only donk on the river. I think that's how some players do play. So he checks. It's us. What do? We have a wide range. It looks like we're betting 57.1% of the time. What kind of hands are we betting? We're betting the straight 100% of the time. I think we're going for value. I think we're betting the straight basically 100% of the time. We do have some slow plays with 5. 2 pair, we're betting almost 100% of the time. You can see my 8-5 offsuits, my 8-5 of diamonds is betting 100% of the time. We're betting most of our overpairs. I'm going to say aces and kings is probably a little bit interesting. We're going to use some of the aces, some of the kings to check. The ones that we're more likely to check are those that don't have the ace of spades. And it looks like those that we are most likely to check are going to be like the diamonds. We'd bet the king. I think we're going to bet a little bit more with the king of spades, probably because we don't block the suited, the ace-x suited hands, our nut flush draws. Top pairs, somewhat betting, somewhat checking. So I think in our top pair hands, you can see 8-7 suited. It's going to bet. Well, that's 2 pair. 8-6 is betting. 8-4 is mostly betting. Ace-8's betting, but like the king-8, queen-8, jack-8's going to be checking. So top pair weaker, top pair strong kicker. Not top pair, top kicker. Top pair strong kickers gonna lean towards a check, and that looks to be the same thing even if we're suited. Exception being the diamond, where we have a backdoor draw. So if a diamond comes on the turn, I'm sure GTO says we're gonna bet. Weak pairs, 7s and 5s. It does look like it's mixed. Some betting, some checking. We're gonna say I think our betting here is looking like it's the diamond when we have the backdoor flush draw. We tend to be betting more, or we're betting more. So out of 66 combos, we're betting 2/3 of them, which is good to know. It's good to know we're going to be betting. We're going to be a bit aggressive with our backdoor flush draw. We're also going to be being somewhat aggressive with our overcards, but I'm thinking a lot of our overcards here, like King 10, we're betting. You can see we're betting a lot of these overcards, and I think we're using these as bluffs. So even if we're called, we have equity. We have some outs. We can catch an overcard. And especially with like Jack 10, we have some blockers to the straight. With the 10, players going to be less likely to have that 9-10. So we are going to be betting some. We're going to be checking some. The 5s. Bottom pair is going to be pretty weak. Well, we'll check a lot of our 7s as well. We're checking a lot of our just junk, our air down here, undercards we're checking, but the kings, we're betting. So I like how we are playing aggressive. I'm not sure if I would be I'm sure I'm probably over betting this, but like if I had 2-3 or 3-4, I think I'm going to be checking. I kind of missed out on these broadways up here. I think I would have probably been checking those a little bit too much. So I did bet, and then if he plays GTO, he's supposed to be calling 40%, folding 42%, 43%. He's folding his ace high hands, his weak pairs, his overcards. He should have some raises. And we'll look at first, his GTO strategy. Let's say he does play GTO, he calls. So we've got 10 of hearts on the turn. All right, he checks. So right now it says he should not bet at all. So he checks. That's good. And then we're going to be betting 73.2% of the time. So again, I like that we are betting again with our 2 pair hands or the 3 of a kind or straights. I like that we are being aggressive against this GTO type player. Middle pair, the eights, some of these are still betting. So like 8-4, 8-6. I think those are all gut shot draws or open end or straight draws. So these are combo draws that king eights, ace eights now we're checking. 8-3, 8-2 we're checking. Weak pair, I'm going to guess that all of the hands we're betting we're also going to be having combo draws. So most of those are combo draws. 5-6, a little surprised that we're not doing that because that is a combo draw. But I guess we are. It's really we only need the 4. The 9's going to hurt us because any jack beats us. So okay, I can get behind. Don't draw to the dummy end of the straight. Just check behind, see what happens. We are being aggressive with Jack 7. I'm sure this is partly for bluffs because we do any 9 that calls. We've hindered them because we have a Jack. Ace 7, King 7. What are we doing with all of these bets? What do we do? Oh, that's our draws. So we're still betting with our flush draws. We're betting open enders, gut shots, and so forth. So all of those things. I think that's where a lot of these weaker cards, these weaker pairs are coming in because we have a flush or a straight draw. What is our plan on the river? I think if we hit, we're going to be betting. I mean, I think we would be betting 2 pair plus. If it's we'll just say if it's an ace of clubs, I suspect we're going to be betting. So, if he's playing GTO and he checks to us, then we are betting, a lot of our 2 pair hands. Where's our 8-5? Oh, because I think because we were supposed to. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. So we bet, and then he calls. So this is a scenario. What happens if we bet and he calls? What's our plan? So we're gonna first start with that ace of clubs. I think that's going to be kind of scary because he could have the nut flush draw and just now picked up top pair. So I think our under pairs are probably going to check behind. Our 1 pair hands are going to be checking behind. I think our 2 pairs are going to start betting and try to go for value. I think we're going to get called. If we have ace king, I think we're betting for value. Ace queen, we're probably betting and checking. Ace jack, we're probably just going to check. So here's a situation where villain should check 100%. And then for us, you can see we are betting 2 pair plus and some of our top pair hands. So yeah, ace king, ace queen, ace jack. We do have I guess we do have a lot of ace jack hands. I probably would have checked a little bit more with the ace jack, so that's kind of a mistake. But I'm definitely like how we are checking the ace 9 and below hands. So I'm glad with that. What happens if it's like a 2? So it changes to a 2 of clubs. I think now it's less likely that he's going to have the top pair, that ace. So I think we are going to be targeting, again, 2 pair plus. But I think ace 8, king 8, I'm sorry, 10s, like the top pair 10s. Ace 10, king 10 if we have them. I think some of the weaker ones we're going to be going for just showdown. So looks like we are 2 pair. So 2 pair plus again. Over pairs are betting. I would have expected that. Top pair, we're betting. We do have some top pair, 10-4, 10-3, that does mix in some bets. Probably bluff to try to get like better 10s to fold. But Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10, we're all going for value here. Pocket pair below the top card 9s are checking. All the weaker hands are checking. And then the no-made hands, these are the missed draws. We're just going to fire 3 streets. We probably can't win. Villain might be on, the nut flush draw, and he's not going to call. So we do have to have a bit of, quite a few bets here. So 5/7, more than 2/3. More than 2/3 of all of our no-made hands are going to be bets. How does that? relate in terms of combos. Maybe a quarter or a third bluffs to value. So that's good. I think I'm glad to see that. Now let's actually see what really happened with the six of spades, right? This is probably one of the worst hands that we can get, and we are faced with this scenario. So if villain checks here, I do think we're going to be checking behind a lot. And I was going to say 2-pair plus, sets plus, now that the one card straight's out there, I do think we're going to be betting some of our straights, probably most of our straights. Hands that we check here are, the dummy end of the straight. With the nines, it looks like we are betting. So if we have, 10 high straight, we're betting. If we have a lower straight, we're going to be checking. And I think that makes sense. We're betting and hoping that he calls us. So that's good to see. I think I'm solid on this. I probably would have played this the same way. Villain bet though, and if he plays GTO, and I think I said he bet half pot. He bet a little bit more than half pot. We could adjust it and say 2/3 pot if we need to, but he bet half pot. The question is, what is he doing that with? And really, I think villain is betting half pot with the straight or with the flush. I don't think he's doing it as a bluff. I really don't. So when he bet, what do? We're folding 42% of the time. And really, what are we doing with our 2-pair hand? Our 2-pair hands, half call, half fold. I'm going to say I think that's a pretty good win for me, because I do think that villain here is more likely than not to have a premium hand. So what I think we're doing is mixing up our calling versus folding range so that we're not as predictable. We call with a flush, or we raise with the flush. We call with the straight with most of our straights, even with our nines. Again, our raise here is just to kind of protect against a flush. Our flush though, we're raising because I do think nine's going to call, but everything else is that call or fold. And you do have some bluffs in there, so let's fix this, because I don't think he's going to be doing this all the time. So we're going to say he calls, or he bets with all of these, with all his flushes. We are going to be betting his straights. And then we'll just start there, and we'll leave in some of these bets. But I actually think he's going to be checking everything else. So let's run our solver and see what it looks like. All right, so solver's done. We do have our bets. We're betting our flushes. We're betting our straights. But our sets, over pairs, top pairs are all going to be checking. So he bets, and now what do? We are folding 67%, and that is a lock. We are going to be folding, our 2 pairs, our sets, just because his bets really are so strong that we can only really call with straights, and we're calling for about half the pot. We're raising for the flush, hoping that he himself is going to be calling with that straight. So I do feel good about this hand. Not happy with how it played out, but again, that's poker. It's the luck of the cards. I think I played it okay. What if I changed my bet sizing? Could I have raised it larger? Maybe. Maybe that is something that I need to do. But I get him called. He calls down, and I think if it was a lesser card, an odd card, I still would have bet. And if he has a pair, like if he had a 9, it's possible that he calls with that again. All right, so hopefully you like this. If you did, look tomorrow for another.